Well, howdy folks, Ranger Sly here, welcoming you to his first haul video. My first true haul because the first 3 videos I uploaded on YouTube were all A-OK's video. So as I am a new channel, this will be a very good way to show you the kind of stuff I like and collect. And this haul is also very representative of my interests in comic book collecting. This video is dedicated to Captain Strangelife, the first guy I ever saw who was showing his comic books on YouTube. That was maybe 9 or 10 years ago, I'm not sure. But what I'm sure of is he was, without knowing himself probably, that he was a mentor and a model for most of the comic book collecting community on YouTube. He has an amazing collection of vintage comic books, toys, movie posters, and other cool knickknacks. He's often very funny. He has a ton of knowledge, not just about comic books, but in vintage stuff in general. And I couldn't recommend you more to go and subscribe him. As always, I will leave a link to his channel in the description. Before I start, I should explain how I buy my comic books. I usually buy my back issues and vintage stuff on eBay because there are no really good local comic book stores in Montreal where you can find a decent inventory of old stuff. Even in comic book shows and conventions, when you do find vintage stuff, it will usually be in terrible low grades and at ridiculously high prices. I'm not really interested in modern comic books in general, so only vintage stuff really gets me. And since most vendors on eBay are in the USA, shipping to Canada is murder. Fortunately, my best friend Eric, who is also the editor of my YouTube videos and becoming more and more like my partner in this adventure, as he does a lot of research for images and clips. So yeah, my friend Eric owns a mailbox in the US. He's married to an American citizen and has a stepson in the US, so he usually goes down there every 2 months or so. And he's nice enough to let me use his address as a drop point for books I buy in the US, so I can save a lot on shipping. As you know, with the COVID-19 in effect, the border between Canada and USA is closed at the moment I record this video. So I have a nice big pile of books waiting to be picked up, but I don't know when this will be possible. Anyway, last time Eric went down there was maybe 3 months ago, and this haul represents the last comic books I got before the big shutdown, so that's why I'm gonna put on the title, The Last Haul Before the Apocalypse. So first up, Adventure Comics number 425, 426, and 427, which is a nice little subset to collect. After a long run of different superheroes feature in Adventure Comics, editor Joe Orlando seemed to have wanted to put back the quote adventure end quote in Adventure Comics, one of the longest running series from DC Comics. So starting with number 425, it became all new Adventure Comics, and it was kind of back to the anthology format with many short stories by different creative teams. And it is really too bad that it only lasted 3 issues, but they were very fun issues. So we start with number 425, and if you're gonna get only 1 issue of this short run, you have to pick this one because this is full pack of some of the best creators in comic books at the time, starting with the gorgeous Mike Kaluta cover. Then there's a short story illustrated by Master Alex Toth, another one by Gil Kane, another one by Frank Redondo, and there's also at the end the first appearance, for those of you who like key issues, of Captain Fear, a very interesting pirate character drawn by Alex Nino. This one is graded very fine to near mint, and I paid only $7 for it. 426 features a vigilante tale, the vigilante from the Golden Age, of course, the singing cowboy on a motorcycle. The story inside is drawn by Mike Sekowsky and Dick Giordano, who also did the cover. And this is the debut of an interesting feature that lasted only 2 issues, unfortunately. It's the Adventure Club, and it's drawn by Jim Aparo. And inside there's also the second tale of Captain Fear. And the last issue of this nice little subset is All New Adventures number 427. It has the same features as the previous issue, so a vigilante tale, an Adventure Club tale by Jim Aparo, and third Captain Fear. And as a bonus you get a cool monster cover by Luis Dominguez. With the next issue, the format will change back to superheroes, first with Black Orchid, then the Spectre. Okay, next up, Silver Age Atom. I bought a big bunch of Silver Age Atom in my last haul, but I'm not gonna show all of them to you because I'm pretty sure I can complete the series, at least the part of the series I want to collect, in a short time, so I'll make a video when I finish the run and show it all at the same time. There's a little story behind my collecting the Atom. While I was browsing a seller's inventory one day on eBay, I realized that the Atom may be the cheapest of all the DC superheroes series from the Silver Age to collect. Aside from the very early issues from the Showcase series, and maybe the first year in his own title, you can usually get mid-grade issues for way under $10, especially if you buy them in lots. As a huge Gil Kane fan, I know that his Silver Age Green Lantern run is out of reach for me. It's too pricey, there's a lot of keys in this series. But the Atom, which was also drawn by Gil Kane, is much more affordable, so I decided to take a shot at it. And since I own the 2 volumes of the DC Archive edition featuring the Atom, this is volume 1 and this is volume 2, which reprint all the Showcase issues, intro issues, and the first 13 issues of his own series. So I collect to read comics, not to invest money or to resell my collection one day. I'll probably have to if I need money or to pay for my pension or whatever. But right now I'm collecting for the fun to read the stories. So since I can read all the early issues up to number 13 in those volumes, I decided to start collecting with number 14. And this is number 14 from August 1964. It was a bi-monthly back then, so this is actually August and September 1964. So this is the first issue of my run. And the other one I'm gonna show you is number 19, because everything I've said about the Atom so far is right except for this issue. This is the most pricey issue of his later run. This is number 19. It's the second appearance of Zatanna in the classic quest for her father, Zatara. Her first appearance was in Hawkman number 4. So yeah, I had to buy this issue in a big lot, and also you'll notice on the cover that it says it's only in good, very good, which is fine with me. It's complete, it has a lot of spine ticks there, but I don't mind. I can read the story. And the big lot I bought that had this issue, I think it came down to $5 or $6 an issue, and they were all Silver Age Atom and one Hawkman, which I'll show in another episode. So yeah, and this issue 19 is from July 1965, which is my birth year, my birth month, July 1965. So in a future episode I'll show you the whole run when I finished it. Like I said, it's not hard to collect. Okay, next up, the Silver Age Flash. I don't really collect the Silver Age Flash because like Green Lantern His early issues are out of reach for me. They're among the most pricey Silver Age comics. And anyway, I don't really want to collect them anyway because I have the 6 or 7 DC Archive volumes reprinting all the early issues of Flash by the great Carmine Infantino, which is my favorite period of the Flash anyway. So, but on Facebook there's a page for fans of Gil Kane art, and I learned on Facebook on that page that Gil Kane drew a few issues of the Flash around issue number 200. So when I learned that, I went right away on eBay to try to find those issues. I did find most of them, and a few others. I will tell you why I bought them. Okay, so number 180 from June 1968. It's not by Gil Kane. I bought this one and the next one because it's a samurai team cover and story. I love Japanese medieval period, and this issue is actually drawn by the classic team of Ross Andrew and Mike Esposito, who were partners for a long time in the 50s and the 60s, and a bit in the 70s, I think, also. Anyway, so yeah, I bought this one. They were in a set, so number 180 and number 181, which is from August 1968. It's a 2-part story. I love the covers. I think they're very cool. Okay, so this is the first Gil Kane. There were 4 Flash issues in them. 3 of them were by Gil Kane, so it was a no-brainer for me. I don't remember how much I paid. I know that for the 2 Samurai Flash issues, I paid $7.77 plus another $7 for shipping, but they're not in the best condition. I think they would be very good, maybe very good plus. So this lot of 4 Flash issues, this is number 197, and the next 3 issues I'm going to show you have both Gil Kane covers and inside art. So number 197, 198, which also includes a second Flash story featuring Zatanna, for those who collect Zatanna early appearances. Flash number 199 from August 1970, again both Gil Kane cover and inside art. And this was the 3rd issue in the lot. I decided to keep it anyway. It's a milestone, number 200. It's not drawn by Gil Kane, but the intriguing cover is by the classic team of Carmine Infantino and Murphy Anderson. And the inside art is by Irv Novick, I think it's pronounced. And also Murph Anderson back on inks. And finally, I think it was the same time I bought those Flash issues. In the seller's inventory, there was also this issue of the Flash, which is not by Gil Kane either, but it has a few things going for me, which grabbed me. First, it's the 72 big pages for only 25 cents. I love those issues from the Bronze Age. They reprinted classic tales inside, and they give you a lot of stuff for 25 cents, I thought, and they're usually cool issues anyway. It was a great period at DC at the time, I think. But also on the covers, there's 2 themes I like to collect. First is TV watching. I don't know why. I love covers that have TVs on the cover. And the second one is the kid dressed in a cowboy outfit. I love Western theme covers. And the added bonus was the story inside was a lot of fun. It's called Flash in Cartoon Land, and it's a very fun story. I was very happy to have grabbed this issue. So the cover is by Dick Giordano, who also did a beautiful short story of Elongated Man inside. Elongated Man is one of my favorite DC characters, believe it or not. And he also, Dick Giordano also did the inks on the Irv Novick pencils on the main Flash story. The only issue I think from Gilkane I'm missing is 195, which was the first one of his 4 issue run on Flash. Number 196 was a reprint issue, but 195 is a little bit pricey because it features a Neil Adams cover, and Neil Adams cover always get top money, so I haven't found an affordable issue yet of number 195, but still hunting. Okay, next bunch of DC Comics, Hercules Unbound, number 1 from October 1975. I bought this from a seller on eBay. I see a seller who has a book that interests me. I will look at his inventory to find other cheap books that might interest me so I can mitigate the shipping cost. And this was the case for this buy. I think I paid $5 for it. It's in mid-grade. But I bought it because I never read this series on Hercules Unbound, but when I've learned that Jose Luis Garcia Lopez was the artist, and Wally Wood actually inked him on this first issue, so I jumped on it. Next one, Strange Adventures number 125 from February 1961. I buy Strange Adventures comics whenever I can find them for cheap. The same with Mystery in Space. I love the science fiction anthologies from DCs from the 50s and 60s. This was another case probably where I looked into the seller's inventory to find something to add to my package to make it more affordable. And this issue has many things going for it. It's a gorilla cover, which is something I love. It's a classic theme in DC sci-fi books from the era. And also there's you'll see here there's a Star Hawkins backup story. I love this feature. It's a detective in the future with a robot secretary that he keeps pawning at the pawn shop. Poor girl. And the third thing that's interesting for me in this issue, there's a story drawn by Gilkane, which is in the strange sports stories genre that editor Julius Schwartz loves very much. Next up, Sugar and Spike number 68, December 1966. This is my first Sugar and Spike comic book. I would like to add more to my collection. They're often expensive now. They're kind of rare and scarce. This is the first original issue I have. I have the DC Archive edition. They unfortunately made only one volume of the Sugar and Spike series. And I have one of those Millennium edition that had also a Sugar and Spike story in that. This issue has many things going for it. It's a Christmas theme cover. I love Christmas theme comics. And there's go-go checks. Weird War Tales number 2. This is a series I want to collect, but only the first 10 issue maybe. This is from 1971. In the first 10 issues, there were a lot of great artists doing short stories. This was an anthology, and yeah, there's a lot of Alex Toth, Ross Eat, Joe Kubert, and other great artists. This one is a 48-page, 25 cents, which is something I love in the Bronze Age. Next up is Wonder Woman, number 158, from November 1965. I didn't pay too much for it because there's a 15-cent sticker price over that original price of 12 cents, I think. I bought it purely because of the offensive cover. It features the second appearance of Egg Fu, a Wonder Woman villain, who had first appeared in the previous issue of this one, so number 157. And it was created by Robert Kanigher, who could be insensitive at time. So yeah, I bought it especially. I'd like to collect all the Egg Fu appearance because it's a ridiculous character and there's something charming about it. Okay, Young Romance number 125, no, 129, sorry, from April 1964. I've been wanting to get into romance comics for a long time, but they're kind of expensive, they're kind of difficult to hunt down. I was inspired by silver-haired Bronze Age babe who did a video about a character she was happy to have completed the run called Bonnie Taylor, which was an ongoing features in Young Romance, the early DC issues, drawn by my childhood hero John Romita, and featuring the adventures of a stewardess traveling all over the world and falling in love. So exotic locals, Romita abilities to draw the prettiest woman in comics sold me. And yeah, so when I saw that video from Sarah, I looked up on eBay, and there were very few issues that were under $20, even in low grade and mid grade. So I found this one, which is graded as a very fine minus copy. I added it to my watch list on eBay, and the seller ended up offering me a 10% rebate. So I jumped on it. So I got this issue for $18, which is a good deal, I think, when I see the prices on similar issues on eBay. Okay, 2 Golden Age issues to finish the DC Comics. All-American Western number 112 from March 1950. This series was actually called All-American Comics from DC. It's an old series from DC from 1939 up until issue 102. It was a Western series called All-American Western for 24 issues, and then it changed again to become a title called All-American Men of War. So it became a war team comic books, starting with issue number 127. These are usually very expensive issues, the All-American Westerns, because most of them have Alex Toth art inside and covers. And this one does have a Johnny Thunder feature by Alex Toth, who is also the cover character here. And inside there's also an early Joe Kubert Western story from a feature called Foley of the Fighting Fifth, which was a running feature in this series. And also a one-pager by R.V. Kurtzman with his character called Potshot Pete. So I thought this was a Golden Age, but actually it's a 1959 comic book. But most of the series was running during the Golden Age anyway. So it's Adventures of Rex the Wonder Dog number 46. It's the last issue of the series. And I've always wanted an issue of Rex the Wonder Dog, first because the art is always excellent in it. The early issues were done by Alex Toth, and then Gil Kane drew most of the series. And Gil Kane was very good. I think he was the best in the comicdom at drawing animals, whether they were horses and westerns or bears, dogs, lizards, anything animal, he was the best at doing them, I think. So I'm very happy to at least have one issue of The Adventures of Rex the Wonder Dog in my collection, and I hope to get some more one day. I paid only $20 for this one. The seller was selling it for $40. He had the best offer. I offered $20. He accepted. I was very happy. But usually the issues goes around $40-50 and more. They're very rare. They're usually in lousy condition. This one is pretty good. It's in very good plus, I would think, maybe. But anyway, it's complete. I love it. I'm very happy to have it in my collection. Okay, and now something special. The Amazing World of DC Comics. Okay, not really DC Comics. It's a prozine done in-house by DC Comics staffers. It's called Amazing World of DC Comics. It was a very fun magazine to read because you have to remember back then there was little information coming out, no internet, very little fanzines even. So DC decided to do a magazine like this to promote their line. So inside there's a checklist for every comics that were coming out at the time. And what was fun about those magazines also, it was exclusive art on the cover and sometimes on the back cover. Inside there were often a full centers fold poster if you want. It was in black and white, but Also, why it's interesting to collect this magazine, the exclusive unpublished stories. There were unpublished stories from Cancel Comics and even unpublished stories from the Golden Age. So that was fun. And also there were interviews with people we don't see interviewed enough, I think. For example, the editor. This issue number 6 was a special issue on Joe Orlando, who was the editor of the mystery and horror comics line. Previous issues had focused on Julius Schwartz, Sheldon Mayer, Mort Weisinger, all big name in the formative years of DC Comics. Some would focus on the writers, also a subject we don't see enough. And so yeah, there were 17 issues published between 1974 and 1978, plus a one-shot issue that was for a convention. I think it was a special convention issue, if I remember correctly. This is number 11, focusing on the DC Comics villains. I'm now only 2 issues short of completing this run. I'm missing 2 of the artists to find, which is number 9, which is a focus on the Legion of Superheroes series. And it was a very popular issue for Amazing World of DC Comics, because at the time Legion of Superheroes had a very irregular publishing schedule. They moved from title to title. They started in Adventure Comics. For a while they were published in Action Comics. Then they were in Superboy Comics. So Legion fans, which were a lot, they even have their own fanzine. Tomorrow Publishing even did a book on the best articles from a Legion fanzine called Legion Outpost. So these fans were trying to follow every Legion appearances, and number 9 of Amazing World of Comics was a checklist of all the Legion of Superheroes appearances until then. So it's a very sought after issue. It often goes for around $100 and more in nice condition on eBay. So I'm missing this one. I don't want to pay $100 for a fanzine. And I'm also missing number 15, which is around the $40 range. It's an issue focusing on Linda Carter's TV role of Wonder Woman. These usually go for about 15 to 25 bucks on eBay. I paid 20 bucks for all of those. 20 bucks each, of course. Okay, my favorite part, Western. This is Sundance Kid number 2. Very fine to Nerman copy from July 1971, published by Skywald. Skywald Comics didn't last very long, but they published a few series. Most of them didn't last very long either, but they published for some reason a lot of Westerns. They published 5 different Western series of 2 to 3 issues each. I have all of them now except one issue, which is the next issue after this one, Sundance Kid number 3 I'm missing, and then I'll be done with the Skywald Western line. Next up, Fawcett Comics. A lot of people think that when they think about Fawcett Comics, they think about Captain Marvel, of course, Shazam, and the whole Marvel family, but they actually publish a lot more Western series than superhero series in their prime. Check it out, you'll see I'm right. So this one is Cowboy Love number 11. It's only in VG Plus, but it's still very presentable. A little bit of tanning, I think. I'm not sure beige was the color originally. I think it was white, a white cover. And this one is from 1951. Night Tiger, a fellow YouTubers notice the cowboy and romance hybrid genre is very hard to find. They're usually very pricey, so I was very happy to buy this for $10.66. Nothing special about it, just a very rare comic. Lash LaRue number 1. From the summer of 1949, so a golden age pre-code. Lash LaRue was a very, very popular B-Western star. I'm very happy to get the first issue. I don't remember how much I paid for it. Probably around $40 is the amount I will go up to for a first issue Fawcett Western. Okay, Tex Ritter Western number 13. Tex Ritter was another very popular B-Western hero fan, cowboy. He was also a great singer, a very deep voice, and he was the father of John Ritter. If I'm not mistaken, I think that is John Ritter, his son there, posing with him. Looks very much like him. John Ritter was, of course, a TV star in the 80s and 90s. He was, for me at least, he was the funniest guy on TV back in the days of the Three's Company's series. So yeah, Tex Ritter was the one, if you're a movie fan buff, Tex Ritter was the one who sang the Ballad of High Noon, also called Do Not Forsake Me, Oh My Darling, in the classic Western movie High Noon.
Do not forsake me, oh my darling, on this our wedding day.
Okay, now for some Dell comics. This is 4-color number 631. It's the first issue featuring the TV version of Davy Crockett from Walt Disney's. Disney had started a show called Disneyland on TV to promote the new amusement park that they were building, I think, back then. And Davy Crockett was the first big hit for this show. It was a big phenomenon. It was even bigger than the Batmania of the 60s. Some say even bigger than the Beatlemania. A lot of kids went crazy and wanted to have a coonskin hat. So I even read that raccoons were becoming an endangered species in the 50s because they were hunted down mercilessly to make hats for kids. So look it up. And sadly, Disney filmed the 4 episodes, I think, of Davy Crockett's before they put them on TV, so they didn't know that it would be such a huge success. And of course the last episode was the Alamo, where David Crockett dies, so they had a big success on their hand, but they'd already killed their main character. So, but it was still a huge, big David Crockett mania back then. Dell Comics published 4 issues in their 4-color series about Davy Crockett. 631, this one, of course. 639, number 664, and number 671. There was also a one-shot giant size issue of Davy Crockett, and this cover in particular was reused twice by Gold Key. First in 1963 with a green cover, and in 1961 with a red cover, but they reprinted different material inside, but they still kept the same cover for all their Gold Key Davy Crockett comics. Okay, next one is 4-color number 588. It's an adaptation of the movie King Richard and the Crusaders from 1954, and the comic book is also by 1954. I haven't seen the movie, I have no idea if it's good, but the reason I bought this, and I bought this very cheap, I paid $7 for it. It's for a very fine copy maybe, but the art inside is all by Matt Baker, and if you don't know who Matt Baker is, he was a renowned artist in the romance genre, and my buddy, classic comic book collector, just did a video about Matt Baker. I will put the link in the description below. So yeah, it's very hard to find cheap comics with Matt Baker art inside. Okay, this is a lesson in a way. I thought I didn't have this issue, but I did. So you see I have 2 copies. And when I bought this one, which is Dell Giant number 52, Walt Disney, Uncle Donald and his nephews Dude Ranch, this copy I bought for, well, I didn't pay too much for it. I paid $7.63 for a VG fine copy, but my copy, the sad part is it wasn't even an upgrade because the copy I had was almost near mint. As you see, there's maybe a small spine tick here and there, but if you compare the two, you'll say that the cover is frayed on the edge there. So no upgrade. This will probably go in someone's A-OK soon. This was a very fun. I love, of course, as I told you, Western theme cartoons. So this was a must for me, but I didn't want 2 copies. So last one is a Christmas theme Bugs Bunny. It's Bugs Bunny number 46, not in the best of shape. It's from December 1956. And it features an adventure in Canada, and with all the cliches that goes with the type of story. Of course, it involves the Mountie, winter, and lumberjacks. Amazing Heroes number 100. I bought this on impulse. I'm gonna give a little shout out to Metarog, who did a 3-part video series on his collection of 200 or plus run of Amazing Heroes, and he did this as a reaction to a comment I made when he was showing a haul video, I think, and he was showing issues of Amazing Heroes. And when he told us that he had the first 200 and plus issues, I asked him, hey, you should do a video and show them to us one of these days. And almost right away, I think the next week, he started a 3-part video series. So I thought it was very nice of him to react to his viewers and give them something they want to see. So I'm gonna link the video, the first video, to Metarog channel and specifically to his video about his Amazing Heroes run. This one is a focus on Jack Kirby. The cover is by Jack Kirby and Steve Rude. Okay, now some Archies. I don't really collect Archies that much except for Christmas theme covers, and this series here, Archie Giant series, I think they did 3 or sometimes 4 Christmas theme issues a year in that series. So all the 3 issues I'm gonna show all came out the same Christmas year, if you want, which was December 1973. So we have Archie series magazine number 216, Archie's Christmas Lovin'. I have a big bunch of those. I think I have maybe 30 issues of those giant series about Christmas. This is number 218, also from December 1973. So it's Archie's Christmas Stocking. And finally, Archie Giant Series magazine number 220. It's Sabrina's Christmas Magic. One thing I noticed on my 1973 Archie Christmas comics, there was a small Fawcett imprint. And Fawcett, of course, as I told you before, was a comic book publisher in the 40s and 50s, but they still exist, Fawcett. They publish paperback novels, I think, in other magazines, but they're pretty much out of the comic book business since the 50s. So I thought it was strange that they appeared on Archie comics of that period, and I suspected that it was because they maybe were the distributor of Archie comics, and I asked my to-go guy on everything about Archie comics, which is the classic comic book collector, and he thought the same thing as me, that probably Fawcett was distributing Archies for some reason in the 70s. And so yeah, I thought that was interesting to see a Fawcett imprint on Archie comics, and all of them from that period have the Fawcett imprint. Here it's near the brick down there, and we see it near the word Christmas on this one. So thank you, Classic Comic Collector, for your input. And as I said earlier, I'll put a link on one of the videos he made about the artist Matt Baker down below, so you'll get link up with his channel at the same time. Look it up. He does wonderful stuff about romance, westerns, Archies, a lot of stuff other people don't cover on their channel. And this issue is not about Christmas, but as you see on the cover, it's about comics. It says here in the banner, "Welcome to the 20th annual San Diego Comic-Con." And you'll see on the cover there's a girl dressed up as Marvel's Valkyrie. So yeah, I thought this was a fun issue. Also, you'll see in the background there two people, a lady and a man with glasses, and under them there's a sign saying the Comics Buyer's Guide, and the two people there are Don and Maggie Thompson, who are the both writers and editors of the Comics Buyer's Guide for a long time. Before the internet, most of us got our news about comics in the magazine, and sometimes it was also in newspaper format. So the Comic Buyer's Guide was a must for collectors for a long time, and I thought it was nice of Archie to make an homage to them on this cover. And the story inside is also about Archie visiting a comic book convention, so I thought it was cool. So this is issue number 601 of Pip Comics, but it's part also of the Archie Giant magazine series. Okay, last few comics, they're all are RV comics. I don't collect RV comics usually, but as I said in the beginning of this video, which is dedicated to Captain Strangelife, this guy collects everything. I think he was the only guy I saw showing RV comics, the kid line, on YouTube, until recently, that is. So he gave me the itch to buy some. I never read them as a kid. Even as a kid, I thought they were for younger kids than me, so I wasn't very interested in them, but I always thought they had very colorful and sometimes inventive covers. And I'm not the only one. Captain Strangelife gave the itch to buy some RVs. I know that Shannon from Solids for Ben Comics, the channel, I'll also put a link down below to his channel, also did an homage to Captain Strangelife not long ago in a video where he showed a few RVs he bought, especially because of Captain Strangelife influence on us. So I decided to go with Little Dot, which is not the most popular character. It's not Casper, it's not Hot Stuff, it's not Richie Rich, but I love the design on the covers of Little Dots, and I found a seller who was on eBay who was selling apparently file copies in very high grade, which is something you don't find very often for RV comics of the 60s and 70s. So yeah, I was very happy. I got them for I think about $10 each. But as I say, they are in very high grade. I just bought a bunch of them with covers that were interesting to me, just to have some in my collection. So this one is fun for me because, as I said, I love the theme of watching television on comic book covers. And she's eating candies, which also are colorful dots. This one I thought was very nice also. Very white, pristine, almost pristine white cover. And the colors of the bubblegum really pop out. So I forgot to tell the issue. This one was Little Dot number 121 from 1969. This is 123 from May 1969. This one I bought, of course, because of the Western team cover. I thought it was nice to put dots on the pony. This is Little Dot's Uncle and Hunt, number 39 from October 1971. These were 12 cents issues, and these are giant size 25 cents. This one and the next one, Little Dot's Uncle and Aunts, number 45 from February 1973. This, of course, is a Christmas theme cover. Very colorful, very beautiful. I love the covers on these. And last issue of the haul, thank you for all of those who stayed until the end. This was a one-shot issue. It's Richie Rich, Casper, and Wendy National League #1 from June 1971. Also in high grade, also supposed to be a file copy. This one is also a 52-page giant, 50 cents this one though. And the National League was also a group of baseball team which included my beloved Expos from Montreal. We don't have a team, baseball team anymore in Montreal, sadly. But what is fun in this issue is the page. Every team gets a full page about them, where they tell a little bit about their history or some players and all that. And the page about Montreal's Expos is both in French and English, which I thought was a nice touch. So this is it, folks. Thank you for staying until the end. I'm gonna put, as I said, a link in down below in the description to Captain Strangelife channel. You should really go and watch a few of his videos, as much as you can watch. He always have interesting stuff to show. Yeah, so go watch Captain Strangelife. This is Ranger Sly saying to you guys, until next time, happy trails.